Good evening. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the South Haven City Council for Monday, October the 5th, 2020. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could begin with the roll call, please, Travis.
Jeff Arnold.
Here.
Chris Campbell.
Here.
Joe Reeser.
Here.
Steve Schleck.
Here.
George Sleeper.
Here.
Letitia Wilkins. Scott Smith.
Here.
Make a motion to excuse Letitia Wilkins.
Second.
Motion is second to excuse Letitia Wilkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. She's excused. Next, we have the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the agenda as written. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It's approved. Next, update from our County Commissioner, Gail Patterson-Gladney.
Gail, you around with the City Council? Gail, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yep, you're on with the City Council.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, or good evening, and I just want to congratulate the City of South Haven, and especially Kate Hosier as the new city manager for South Haven. And I have 3 items that I wanted to report on from the county: the Child Care Fund, the general fund budget, and designated assessor. Commissioners approved the Child Care Fund annual budget of $1,667,884.20. These expenditures include foster care, detention, residential treatment facilities, as well as programming for children and parents involved in the Child Protective Services and/or juvenile delinquency cases. The state of Michigan will reimburse the county 50% of the net court expenditure for this fund. The general fund balance budget, the general fund budget balance at the end of this fiscal year should be $7,127,206. And for fiscal years 2020 to 2021, the projected expenses are $24,607,371, with revenues expected to equal the projected expenditures for a balanced budget. And the county's financial condition is sound. Commissioners approved the general fund balance for 2020 to 2021. And then concerning the designated assessor, according to Michigan state law, each county is required to have a designated assessor by the end of 2020. Therefore, an interlocal agreement creating this position and naming an assessor will need approval of the majority of the local units of government and the county. Commissioners approved the agreement, which names Tony Maillard as the designated assessor. And I can take any questions on those 3 items if you have any other questions.
No questions.
And that's the end of, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
No questions. Thanks, Gail. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for your time. Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a good night. That takes us to the consent agenda, items A through C.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through C.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Arnold.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Reeser.
Yes.
Schleck.
Yes.
Sleeper.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Which takes us to new business. City Council will be asked to consider approval of special event 2020-23, Break the Ice 5K 2021, to be held February the 6th, 2021, from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. along the route described in the packet, contingent upon pandemic regulations and final approval by the city manager.
I make a motion to approve special event 2020-23, Break the Ice 5K 2021.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Kate, want to tell us about something that could be fun, hopefully?
Sure, Mayor. This is a Break the Ice 5K. This is a typical event that happens during Icebreaker, and this is run as a fundraising event for the high school cross-country team. We have asked for just to be flexible with this event if there happens to be other pandemic regulations or if we need to do other and other processes to make sure everyone's safe. We're just going to keep that flexible, and hopefully it can go off as it usually does. And the route is in the packet, but it goes down Kalamazoo Street to Lovejoy and back up Monroe Boulevard.
Sounds fun and cold, so hopefully it can go off. Appreciate it. Oh, public comments, sorry, 6370777. That's for all public comments tonight. So while we're waiting for any public comments, council comments, questions?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Not just to this event, but I'm wondering if we could add something into our applications for special events so that we don't have to keep explaining to people in case of something, governor's order or COVID or anything else. Just make it standard part of the application for a special event so that they're aware that if something unpredictable comes along, that we have to deal with it separately.
Yes, we can ask.
Something for the future.
We can get that done.
Thank you. That's my only comment.
Good comment.
Good idea.
Give 5 seconds for the phones to ring. Probably not too many people worried about a 5K in February at this
Well, that's-
juncture.
Just say, I know we're not going to have the coach calling in because I just saw her and the team running.
Oh,
So-
we're clear. All right.
They were
No
practicing.
comments? Very good. We've got a motion. We've got a second to approve special event 2020-23. I'll expect to see all of us there. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It is approved. Good luck with that. Next, City Council will be asked to consider approval of the 2020 Van Buren County Recycling Program contract with the Van Buren Conservation District in the amount of $1,500 to partially fund city residents' 2020 special recycling and disposal options.
I make a motion to approve this resolution. Consider the resolution of the 2020 Van Buren County Recycling Program contract with the Van Buren Conservative District in the amount of $1,500.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and just reminders to the public, 6370777. Kate, this is Recycling 101, right?
Yes, it is, and we do this every year. Our contribution has pretty much stayed the same. This is an amount that we have budgeted, and this is a special recycling where people can come in. If they pre-register, they can drop off their tires, they can drop off household hazardous waste, paint,
Paint, yeah.
and they have a shredder for confidential documents. It's very, as far as I can tell, it's been widely attended, so, and this is one area that they do these kind of drops. You can go to Decatur, the Van Buren Youth Fairground. So all of these this is the one that's in South Haven. It's usually in September.
I was going to say, we don't have the date
Ours
yet.
was
but-
September 12th.
Just happened.
I mean, just happened. I say, this is already done, so yeah, all right, so post. Very good. Any council comments as we wait for the public to call in?
I did participate in this in 2019, and it was very, very good, very useful to be able to take some of my hazardous materials that I had collected over the years and dispose of them properly. So I appreciate the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, agreed. I think a lot of us have paint and stuff that you don't know what to do with, and rather than dump it in your dumpster, please, once a year, take it there. All right. No phone calls?
No calls.
We're in the clear. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the contract for $1,500. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It is approved. Next, City Council will be asked to consider approval of Resolution 2020-35, which is a resolution setting the 2021 to 2023 seasonal and transient rates for the South Haven Municipal Marina.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-35, resolution setting the 2021 to 2023 seasonal and transient rates for the South Haven Municipal Marina.
Second.
Motion and a second. Again, public comment 6370777. You can start dialing now Kate, let's open up next year. What do you think?
That's what we're trying to do, sir. So we are anticipating that the bulk of the North Side Marina will be opened up. So that will be the Horseshoe Basin as well as the Finger Docks. There will be some docks that may not be ready for next year, but we're working very hard to see if they can be. Those are the docks we typically don't have any seasonals coming into. So those should be docks that people are betting on, but we are looking to see if anyone would fill them in the future. What we are looking at here is a 5% raise across all of the seasonal docks in the North Side Marina as well as the Museum Marina. The Black River Park Marina would be seeing a 5% raise for next year and then 3% raises for the 2 successive years. We are just seeing increased costs that are coming to us from high water as well as all the upgrade projects that we've had to do to maintain our electrical program. So we're seeing these costs. We have to make sure that fund balance is there. And of course, we do have to pay for the installment purchase agreement, which was $1.75 million. So we do have some costs there. I did want to make one addition to page 53 of your packet. We did not actually put in the Steelheader Pro-Am tournament rate. We were just going to use the 2019 Steelheader rate that the Harbor Commission recommended, which was participant rate is purchase 4 nights at $20, get 3 free during the period starting 6 days before the tournament and through the end of the tournament on Monday. And any additional nights within that period would be charged at $20 a night. This is a pretty, I know it sounds like a low amount, but we struggle to get boats into that marina in mid-May.
Yep.
So it's a nice way to get boaters to come in.
Good event. I would agree. Very good.
I would just make a note as well, Mr. Mayor, being on the Harbor Commission. This resolution is a little bit different than the Harbor Commission recommended, and it was my motion at the Harbor Commission meeting that we held off on raising the rates at the North Municipal Marina for 1 season and then catch back up with the rates after the other 2 years. Hindsight's 2020, so I just want my fellow Harbor Commission members to know that this is a little bit different of approval than what we authorized or recommended in Harbor Commission, but knowing now if what we maybe should have known then, I think the motion would have been different, and I was the one to make that motion, so I fully support this resolution. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Any public call-ins?
IT says no callers.
Very good. Any other council questions, comments?
It did look to me like in the agenda packet, the comparison between South Haven and other municipal marinas, that South Haven is still very reasonable compared with some of the other municipal marinas in Michigan. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, we still are considered, well, on the lower side, but considering what we've been putting into our infrastructure, the costs do seem to bear out. And we do try to maintain a competitive yet attractive facilities.
Yeah, and hopefully boaters, as they see this, while they may see an increase, hopefully they're driving by and seeing all the improvements that are going on
I hope
at
so,
those
too.
marinas, because there's a lot of work going on down there. So hopefully folks are aware we're investing. All right, if we've got no other questions, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2020-35, which is a resolution setting the 2021 to 23 seasonal and transient rates. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It is approved. Next, City Council will be asked to consider the following action. First, we need to hold a public hearing regarding Resolution 2020-36, superseding a resolution for an industrial facilities exemption certificate for HTS Direct at 1310 Kalamazoo Street. So first, I just need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It is open. And just for the public's sake, 6370777. If you want to call us, ask Kate to introduce the topic first, and then we'll seek public comment.
Okay, thank you. This will be a corrective resolution for the IFT, or the Industrial Facilities Tax Abatement that we passed last year. I do have Attorney Curcio on the line. He has some updates on why we're doing this corrective action. If you don't remember, HTS is a German manufacturer that makes moving equipment such as cranes, hydraulic jacks, and machines like moving skates for very heavy load moving industry. So we have brought them here. We lured them down here, and they actually have taken over 1310 Kalamazoo and renovated that building quite nicely. They were, the original request requested almost over $2 million related to purchase of the land and building improvements. And we adopted Resolution 2019-35, which recommended that approval. I'm going to go in and ask Nick to go ahead and jump in and why we're here today. Nick?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there are two, I want to say, I guess I say defects of the original resolution that this resolution would correct. The first is that the application from HTS Direct requested an abatement for personal property, and it turns out that most or all of the personal property on the site is already exempt from property taxation under the reform legislation that was passed around 2016. And that's an issue that came to the assessor's attention after the initial resolution was passed. And the State Tax Commission has told us that we need to do a corrective resolution with the consent of the property owner to have that portion of the request formally removed so that they can process the application at the state level. The second issue, and this is the issue that's kind of the bigger one in terms of the dollar amounts involved, around the same time that the city was negotiating an IFT with HTS Direct, a decision from the Court of Appeals came out and reached an interpretation of the IFT statute that was, I think, pretty unexpected to most attorneys who practice in this area. The court said that areas of a building that are leased can never qualify for an IFT exemption, even if they're leased to an industrial tenant. The exemption can only be on portions of a building that are actually occupied by the building owner and used for an industrial purpose. So if you'll recall, this building is subdivided into, I want to say 5 or maybe even 6 different units. And HTS Direct, who did the renovations, only occupies one of those units. It's a fairly small percentage of the overall square footage. I believe 13.5% of the building is what they occupy. So in order to come up with the portion of the improvements that qualify under this new court opinion, we had to take the overall square footage, divide it by 13.5, and that gave us a new total abatement amount of, let's see, $148,500 of taxable value per year. So you would take that times the millage rate, and that would be their tax savings each year. We've spoken with the property owner about this. It's obviously unfortunate. It's a much lower amount than what we were anticipating, but he understands the situation and has consented to this resolution, and is asking that it be approved by the council so it can be submitted to the state for tax abatement starting in 2021.
Okay. Very good. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other council questions for Nick? Go ahead.
Just to be clear on the personal property tax side, so the personal property tax side would be less than 80,000 of equipment or assets on site?
Yes, I believe that's the case. I just know that the assessor determined that it was covered by the 2017 reform legislation. I believe you're correct. There's an $80,000 amount. You're welcome.
Any public comments called in? I guess this is public
Is there a public hearing? Yes.
hearing, so let's get the public. Are there any public calls?
No callers just yet.
Well, we've given them about 5 minutes, so I think we should be good. Let's go ahead and move to close the public hearing.
Make a motion that we close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It is closed. So now we're on to approval of Resolution 2020-36, which is what we just discussed.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-36.
Second.
Motion and second to approve Resolution 2020-36, which does the cleanup, gets them their tax abatement. Again, great tenants. Be nice to see them fill that space as well. It'll make their day too. So, any other council comments? Nothing. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 10 is our city manager search update. Well, as many of you know, Miss Kate Hosier was our finalist, outstanding candidate, and we are thrilled that she will be our city manager. We will be working through, and should be by our next meeting, we'll have a contract in front of everybody and get it all squared away. So congratulations, Kate Hosier.
Thank you.
Seen a couple nice emails, and I know was out with her today, and she about got run over to get hugged. People were very happy to see her hired on, so that was nice to see. So that's that update. Next, Mr. Bill Hunter, DPW Director's update, capital improvement plan review, all that good stuff. And I will just say, despite all that wind yesterday, my power did not blink once. So
That's good news.
I love you guys.
That's good
Thank you.
news. I want to take the time to go over the capital improvement plan as it pertains to roads. And we're going to go over a little bit too, actually, the placement of North Bailey, the corridor section that we discussed on June 1, and kind of explain that how these roads come into play and how they get placed within the capital improvement plan. There was some concerns that were brought up on the placement of the North Bailey. Originally, during the June 1st meeting, we discussed what it was going to take to rebuild this road. You're talking about if we wanted to address the pedestrian access, we're going to have to add like a 10-foot bike path. And at the time, and rebuild the road, we were looking at, and a retaining wall, we were looking at $1 million. I think I was estimating at the time 1.2 million, because I was taking into the cost at the time. Asphalt prices were going up higher, concrete prices. What I put actually in your report today was the one estimate that was put together by Prine and Newhoff for 1,144,000, but I do anticipate it would be higher than that if we went out to it, just because that's the way the prices have been coming in. All the bids have been coming in a little higher, and that's kind of expected. Also, some of the placement on that, plus addressing, there were some concerns that were brought up about some of the property owners to the west of that Bailey section. There's believed actually that their septic tanks are probably leaching into the celery pond. I suspect, I don't know. I can't take those samples, nor do I have the jurisdiction actually to go on there and take any samples like that, nor would I be able to ascertain where the E. coli or fecal coliform was coming from. But the Shawsa ordinance, when Shawsa was first put together, that was actually the original draft ordinance did actually have a mandatory for anybody that a property abuts a public utility to have them tie on to. That wasn't well received by a majority of the members, because their thought was, and initially when they brought it up, I was like, oh, but when they made a valid point. If for some reason, if their septic system does fail and the health department says, well, they won't give you a permit, then they have to tie on. So why not leave that in the hands of the health department? So right now, currently, there's nothing in our ordinance that allows us to do that. All the estimates I've been giving City Council about especially the big ticket one for North Bailey, have been no utilities included, because this really hasn't been on the forefront of Shawsa's capital plan. The original capital plan, when the asset management plan came up, it was 22 million. They actually cut it down because for a 7-year plan and $22 million, that's a lot. And we started taking a look at what those rates would have to be to accomplish that, and you're looking at 12 and 15% rate increases. That's not something that anybody, so we scaled it down and made the priority actually the concrete standpipe, which took projects like these, they got pushed back. They're still being tracked, but we actually had to come up with we had a 7-year asset management plan. We had 25. I had to create a 40-year to smooth everything out. We might be the only municipality that's tracking everything else 40 years, but I had to do it. It's just, there's no way of doing increases like that. So if we did actually decide to do a complete new everything underneath there, you're looking at another 497,008 for just the utilities. But I do anticipate actually there would have to be pump system just for elevations. They sit so high, the road's so far up, they'd have to pump up to it. So you're looking at additional cost to all those properties, and I'm ballparking, but about 50 grand, I'm thinking, for their own system. There was some thought too about how the road was positioned in the right-of-way, and did that affect actually maybe the original construction of it? But I did research that, and the road, every road is platted. There's plats that are set up. Those plats define actually the right-of-way, and roads meander in them, let's call it, a little bit here, a little bit there. Some roads take up the whole right-of-way, because that's what they were designed to do. Some other ones actually have a little bit, but this road is within it, but it's probably more towards, I would say, the eastern right-of-way, but not right in the center. Now, how we select the roads is, if you had a scoring system for roads, if we went by commercial use, pacer ratings, traffic volumes, we would never be spending any money on local roads. We just don't, we don't have enough coming in, and we don't have enough Act 51. It is great, actually, we have the millage that we have, the money that we take in. That helps a lot. That really does. Because if we had to rely on just Act 51 money like the county does, there would be probably a road done every other year, maybe. I mean, we would have to or we'd have to do some kind of bonding for the roads, or we'd have to do special assess the property owners back to the roads. I mean, those are the options we'd have to investigate without a road millage. But we take a look at the pacer ratings, what's the use, and we have approximately, we use about $700,000 a year for budget, so we squeeze them in. So we try to, right now, we're balancing, one year we're concentrating more on the local side, the other ones we're doing more on the major side, and we're trying to still put in those Cape Seals. The Cape Seals actually are helping us a lot, because it's taken a road that was, like say, a pacer rating of 5. The pacer ratings go 10 to 1. You take a pacer rating of 5, now with the Cape Seal, you bumped it up to 8. Now it actually we actually extended it out a little bit further. The Cape Seals help out as long as we catch them. I know a lot of people, we get a lot of phone calls because they see these Cape Seals, they don't understand them. They just say, well, this road, because there are some people that'll drive these roads and say, I drove it and that one's better, and explain to me why. And I have to explain to them, we got to catch it, because we can't Cape Seal road that's beyond, like if it gets to a pacer rating of a 3 or a 2, you can't do it then. You have to mill and fill. Or depending on the core samples that come in, you have to do maybe a whole new sub-base. So what I have in front of City Council is just some options actually we were looking at. Of course, the other one is the big ticket one that comes up. No, I'm sorry, I'm getting out of line here just a little bit. I did actually ask for input from Shays about the one-way traffic coming back. And originally, the original Shays director said he wanted us to wait for actually any one-way work on North Bailey until actually the high water receded. Different input I had for the different directors, they're really not hot on that at all, actually the one-way. But it's still an option. Like I said, the first one is you could reconstruct that. I mean, you're looking at, I think it's going to be higher than 1,044,000. I think it's still going to be about 1.2. But depending on how much money we get in from you're looking at maybe that's the only project for about 2 years. Maybe 1 year you're not doing something and you're doing that project, or vice versa, depending on how that money comes in. Or you get a short-term loan maybe, and then pay it off. I don't know, but those are your options. So you're looking at about a 2 or 3 year period where you're only doing this road. Option B is, and that's with actually the one-way traffic and a mill and fill. A mill and fill would actually just us going through and milling the top 2 inches off from it, and then re-leveling it and doing some drainage work on the bottom, and then turning it into one-way. That would address the pedestrian access. There are, like I said, some reservations. Shays had some reservations about the one-way traffic. We did get a lot of feedback against it. I do recommend if we decide to go this route, we do another public outreach again. Maybe I include more people than originally it's in the packet. I move it out a little more. It's just a thought. And of course, option C is keep the surface the way it is and $13,000 and paint and do the one-way. Either way, I would still recommend a more public outreach. Again, like I said, I could expand it. It might be a little challenging with COVID now, but maybe we could do a monkey survey and get more feedback that way. So there's a lot of possibilities. So this is just for an open discussion for city council. And this road is just a sample of all the roads on there. All the roads on there, we try to, like I said, we try to balance. We don't try to put everything into this is the pacer rating and this is the amount of traffic. Like I said, if we did that, we would be struggling on the local side. So, does city council have any questions on this, or?
Bill, I've got a question. Option A, is that that's the 1,044,000? Is that still one way or is that two-way?
That would be two-way traffic and
Okay.
then a 10-foot bike path. We would, it would be a complete reconstruct of the road. We would have to use that bike path it would be on the east side of that right-of-way, build a retaining wall, and then,
Got it.
I mean, that ideally, that would be if money was no option, that would be the best way to do, because you do have bike traffic. I mean, right now, that's being utilized by bicyclists due to the high water.
Yeah.
Because we're directing them right down there, so.
Because we have the Calhaven Trail, and hopefully in a year or so, we'll be able to use it again down Dunkley Avenue. What would Bailey Avenue cost be without a 10-foot or 8-foot bike path?
Oh, I could pull that out. I could pull that out, and, let's see here, hold on for a second. Musical track.
Because of the cemetery so close, I just don't see the room or importance once the Calhaven Trail gets back open up on Dunkley Avenue, which it pretty much is now with what we've done, that we need a big bike path going down Bailey Avenue.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now and seeing what that cost would be.
And can you clarify for me too as well, while you look that up? The one-way is, I get my directions all mixed up, but from the roundabout towards Phoenix Avenue would be the one-way?
Yes, Steve.
And you said the directors were not for it. Other than the high water and that road's getting all kinds of traffic right now, foot, motor, bikes, everything else. Did they give you any other reasons that they wouldn't be for the one-way?
Yes, I can read those off to you. I think a lot of their reservations is actually just that, Steve. It's the, no, that's not coming up. There was one actually, I know the one was, of course, the people taking, the kids probably, or who you have hired actually taking Blue Star up at night, coming back to that was one, and actually getting their equipment back, or I think it's a better route depending on, I guess, where they're called out at, where they come back and they utilize Bailey as an access. I think it's just their emergency people always look at accesses, and when you take one away or the possibility of one, I could see where they would have reservations.
Yeah, I can understand the concern heading out to emergency call to make sure, and that's why I'm saying the one-way is going out.
But
I'm
you
not
can also-
necessarily, maybe we need to have a public hearing to understand exactly what they're talking about, why the reservations will be coming back in.
But you could also state this, is that they could always in emergency turn the lights on and use the bike path. You know, turn the lights on, and I'm sure if there's pedestrians, I mean, they're not going to, you know what I mean? You've got to, it's just like when you see somebody in Chicago and they got their lights on, emergency vehicles will use another lane, and, I mean, I think you can still access it. But I can see their reservations. They're worried about that, and maybe I just need to go over with Brandon exactly the plan. Maybe he thinks there's barriers there or something. I'm not sure.
Bill, can you go over again just where we're at with the actual infrastructure underground? As far as lifespan, what was the recommendation?
Oh,
Full replacement?
For this section right here, this section was in the, this section was actually outside in the 25, it was ranked in the 25 year plan, and it might have been moved out into the 40. But I'd have to find that exact placement and get back with you.
Okay,
It wasn't in the original 7-year plan.
right. I know when we did this the first time, we said, we just want to make sure we're not spending all that money laying down new pavement and then come back in 10 years going, shucks, we've got to tear all that up. So we want to make sure we're
And when
crystal
you-
clear.
And when you stated the 40-year plan, you had to go to a 40-year plan to smooth everything out. What does that mean?
That's,
To make it budget?
Yeah, actually, that's for the water and sewer asset
Make the
management.
road smooth
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly. And I'm sorry, I couldn't, I'd like to get back with you on pulling that out, but I can.
It's for another meeting, another time, so,
Okay.
Yeah.
thank
But
you.
again, I still would, I would like to see us, we'll have that discussion and hopefully have some, something to bring to the group to discuss the road millage. I mean, we pushed for the 5, that was the first we'd seen, and then when we did 20 because at the time, the question I posed was, well, we thought at the time, what would it take to get all the roads in town done? We had this dream of 20 years. That was that's what we did. So we said, well, let's ask for 20. That should get them all done. I don't think we're going to get them all done in 20, but I think at the end, we know that every year we need a certain amount of money to maintain the roads. And I think we'll have to do our homework to present that to the taxpayers, and we know what it is.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because we did finish actually an asset management plan in 2018. And in the asset management plan, there was recommendations on where to go with our roads, meaning, for example, they had existing funding, because right now, and I can present this at a later date to city council so you can all see it, it's dated 2018, but very relevant, I think, still to date, because you only have like 2 years. But it actually shows, because Kate asked me a very good question, what's our gap funding? She asked me in an email, and I told her, I said, well, I fit my roads or my plan to our funding. I know it's like you're an allowance.
Right.
I get told, this is it, and well,
Make it work.
this is what I'm gonna make it work.
Yep.
But what it does, we could be better, meaning we could take our percentage of good roads and turning into larger good roads depending on how much money we spend. Like, for example, it says here existing funding we're spending, and right now we're kind of maintaining at about 910,000, but they said if we wanted to reach 80% good roads by 10 years, it'd be 1.3 million. So that's what you're looking at. So, and I can present this to city council, and I'm sorry this is off, but it popped into my head while I was up there, and so I thought I would bring it up, but I can do this at a later date. But we have the groundwork already with the asset management plan. It's just probably presenting a plan with that and why, for example, here's what we are, here's where we could be, and here's the amount of roads we could do. So I guess.
Got it. We'll work on it. So,
Hey, Bill, one more question. You may not know the answer to this, but you don't remember how many properties are on the west side of North Bailey there that aren't tied into the sewer currently? It doesn't seem like there's a lot of properties there.
I think probably 4.
I think there's maybe 4 or 5. I think
Okay.
that's it. Not a lot.
I have one last thing to ask. And this is just from last year. I've been getting a lot of questions and concerns about the road diet, wondering when we were going to take that back up for reevaluation. I think that was
another meeting.
as in reevaluating how it went and how it's working,
Okay.
and whether we want to keep it or not keep it. And that was, did we do that in January?
That's our first.
I'd have to get my dates on it. I think we're just over, are we over a year now? I think we're over a year. I thought we said 2 years. I'd have to check my notes on that, to be honest.
If you could get back with me,
I will.
I'd appreciate that, because
I
I'm
will.
getting quite a few questions on that.
I received 2 calls myself on that as well.
Yeah, and then maybe just get us a list of any concerns that have been
I thought it was a
recorded.
year, but,
Okay.
and I thought did it in January
I
for
think
some reason.
We did it really late. I know it's really hasn't been implemented.
Yeah, we had
implemented
one,
that
this was
long.
our first summer, so I mean,
Yeah, and then COVID hit.
COVID
and
hit.
We didn't get a really good feel for things for what I thought. I may be off, but get back with me on that.
I
Thank
will.
you.
I will.
we did say we'd discuss it though, so, very good. Bill, thank you as always, and
Yep,
thanks
thank
for
you.
keeping my lights on.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. All right. We are at that time when we have citizens in the audience who are not here, or in the home office, will be heard on items not on the agenda. The number is 6370777. So we'll give them a minute to call in. In the meantime, we'll discuss, there might be a home football game this week. Is that true? Who can go? We don't know yet. It's like the golden ticket.
They recently extended the number to like 50% and for outside, so it was close to 1,000.
Oh, we're good.
Close to 1,000.
Wouldn't it be
We're
fun
gonna
if we
allowed-
hit the capacity? There you
Yep,
go.
hopefully, I think Adam Versa put the athletic director will have some more information for us soon. But
Fun. All right.
They were, as we know, whenever we get an executive order, we need our lawyers to explain it to us, and that's kind of where the city, or the school's at. They're trying to get a deeper understanding of how many people they can let in.
All right, let's hopefully watch some football. Should be a nice weekend. Very fun.
No callers.
No calls, all right. City manager comments. Ms. Kate Hosier.
Well, thank you. First things I want to say is that we did finish up with the Overton Evaluation Committee. However, Ryan Kilpatrick was not available to be here tonight, so we did not put this on for the agenda. I wanted to have Ryan here and kind of walk through what the Evaluation Committee came up with, what are the suggested recommended steps that we go further on. The Overton Evaluation Committee made a recommendation, but until this body accepts it and then selects a preferred developer, we're kind of stuck in the what's next. But this is really very much in line with our process and our timeline that was in the RFQ. Our process for selecting a preferred developer is in October, so we're still here. And to finalize the terms of a redevelopment and purchase agreement would be in November. So we're very much still on track. And I didn't want to kind of jump the gun without Ryan being here. He's been a very wonderful resource for the city. I also wanted to let you know that we have formulated a Halloween guideline. The press release is on the city's website right now. Currently, we don't really have any legal authority to restrict the movements of folks. And really, Halloween is a national holiday. So it's not really a city-sanctioned event. But there are recommended guidelines like wearing a mask, staying 6 feet apart, not personally handing out the candy. And if you're sick, stay home. And if you're not feeling well, just don't. So that press release is on the city's website. And there's some different resources also on the press release. And then I'm not sure if any of you caught it, but there was recently a Supreme Court opinion on Friday that has implications on the governor's executive orders as it relates to the pandemic. So here, I wanted to have Nick kind of explain where's things going right now. It's going to be a state of flux, but I figured Nick would be a good person to update the council and then answer any questions the council may have. So Nick?
Yes, so as Kate said, there was a very significant Supreme Court decision that was issued late on Friday afternoon. The implications I think are still being worked through by the governor's legal counsel, the legislature's legal counsel. It's not entirely clear what the practical impacts are going to be. But essentially what the Supreme Court held is that the statute that the governor has been using as the basis for her COVID-19 emergency orders for the last 4 or 5 months, since the initial 28 days of the pandemic, is unconstitutional because it's too broad a delegation to the governor of legislative authority, and it basically renders those orders void. The immediate fallout has been that the governor has, just today, the Health and Human Services director issued some new orders that kind of duplicate the old ones under a different law, a public health statute. There's likely to be challenges to that action as well, but for now, some of the mask mandates and capacity limitations and things of that nature have been reinstated by the health department with similar penalties. We're going to be, over the next couple of days, looking into what the local role in enforcing those laws is, if anything. One of the more immediate consequences for municipalities is that the order suspending the Open Meetings Act is now essentially void. Fortunately for the city of South Haven, the way that you were conducting your meeting tonight was basically compliant with the Open Meetings Act anyway. All that we had to do extra was just open the doors to City Hall and allow public that was interested in attending in person to physically attend. So that will be the only difference with city meetings going forward. In South Haven, other municipalities have kind of bigger adjustments to make because they've been doing fully remote meetings with all council members participating remotely. So that's something municipalities are going to be looking at across the state. But there's any number of consequences that are going to be probably discussed in coming weeks as the legislature and the governor try to work through the meaning of this decision. And that's kind of all I have for now. But if anyone has any questions, I can do the best I can to address those.
I don't see any questions. Did you hear Clark? I said, I won't say Clark. You hear Jeff's question? Would you care to weigh in on how many people can come to the football game this Friday night? Kidding. We'll figure that one out.
It's totally unrelated, but I think it's 20% capacity is what I had heard from I think that's Michigan MHSAA rule.
There you
but
go.
That's,
I'm
yeah,
teasing you.
I don't
I'm teasing
think
you.
that's been impacted by the Supreme Court.
There you go. No, you're good.
One question.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched the news. He stated that the health department has issued some orders or rules. Are we to believe that the health department has more power than the governor or legislature?
That is, I think, going to be hotly contested. I've already seen reactions to the new order saying that it suffers the same defects essentially. It is issued under a different statute that was not addressed by the Supreme Court. And I guess their argument is that statute gives them separate authority. But again, I think further challenges are likely.
Thank you.
All right, very good.
Okay.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
And sir, while we were on the phone, it looks like we do have 2 callers for public comment, if you'd like to take them now.
Okay, let's do that. We got to figure out a way to lock these up prior to this, but fine for tonight. But let's work on a process that says we are now done. So.
Caller, you're on with the city council. You'll have 5 minutes to make your comments. Please state your name, and then please state when you finish with your comment.
Sure. Am I on now?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. This is Rosalie Flicati, 559 Monroe Boulevard. I just have an update for the mayor. The 21-day challenge was completed, Mr. Mayor, and it worked out really, really well. And there's some great slides put together that I would love to present to you and the city. It would probably only be about a 6-minute presentation, so I would love you to consider putting us on the agenda. And you'd be very surprised at how well it went and how people answered their conclusion and their comments. There were a little bit over 800 people that took advantage of this challenge, about 9% in Van Buren County, so that comes to about 75 people. So I don't know how many were from South Haven, but I think, I know you were interested. I know our city was interested. So I'd love some time to talk about this maybe at your next meeting.
Yeah, I would bring it along. I know I was missing a few days, but we'll talk about that later. So yeah, it was the parts I did were good. So we can put it on
Yeah.
the agenda.
So I think what would be really cool, somebody from United Way is willing to come, and it's just a really interesting recap of what people learned. And I think you'd be pleasantly surprised how successful it was.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll put it on.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time. You can get back to your important work. All
Thanks.
right.
Thanks, Rosalie. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Caller, you're on with the city council. Please state your name, and then you'll have 5 minutes. When you finish with your comments, just state that you're done.
Sure. It's Sean Wysocki, 581 Ravinia. I believe that the caller prior to the one before me answered my question. If you can just explain to me, I've been away for about a month, what, it looks like the city council meetings are now open to the public. Is that true?
That is correct.
Excellent. Then my question is a quick one. I apologize about missing the time for public comment.
Oh, you're good.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, that's a question. Thank you. Sorry, I thought there was another question coming.
Yeah.
Council person comments. Let's start around with Joe.
My only comment really is a suggestion. When we do get to the Overton site and we start talking about it, I would like to suggest the possibility that either Ryan or someone comes in and gives the city council and maybe even the public some training on financing this kind of a development, whether it's MISHA or whatever kind of financing is out there, because I'm trying to read about this and keep up with it, and it's a bit confusing, and if it's confusing to me, I can't be alone. But I think if we're going to make a good concerted effort to do the right thing with this Overton, we got to know what all the tools are in the toolbox, and financing is a big piece of it. So if there's any way we can get some kind of training from Ryan or someone, I think it might be helpful. And I think it would be good for the public to hear it if possible, so they would understand some of the constraints and some of the latitude we have when we're looking at this development. Thanks.
Good idea. Thanks. We'll just come this way. George.
No comments tonight.
Very
Scott.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No comment.
Very good. Thank you, Chris.
No comment.
Love where I live. Thank you.
Amen to that. I was just going to say, one, it's fun to see just the progress of the old Hales building. A lot going on there. The property still looks better. Nice to see it down there. Just a reminder for all of our local folks, let's get out and support our local businesses. Our downtown would love to see us eat, shop, get out. And I think we can go watch movies this week. So support our local theater. They need us. They've been forced to be shut for 6 months. So go watch movies. So I will be there. So on that, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thanks all.
Thanks, Nick.